Hey guys, today we'll be covering a 2017 rom-com film called Mr. Pride vs. Ms. Prejudice. At the start of the movie, a young and rich boy named Chuho prepares a play-like setup to impress his crush, Momo. His intention is to fly with a fairy prop and propose to Momo. Meanwhile, Momo can be seen shopping in the same mall on another floor. When Chu calls Momo to ask her whereabouts, the latter replies that she will be arriving shortly. Hearing this, Chu and the other staff quickly start preparing for the grand proposal. On the other hand, Momo enters the elevator to reach the first floor. But just then, another girl, Tong Nanan, who is a struggling editor, also arrives and gets on the elevator. The two girls are wearing the same dress, but Momo's is the genuine article and Tong's is a knockoff. Though there are just two girls inside the elevator, the overload warning starts to ring. This is because Chu has ordered the staff to change the elevator settings in such a way that only Momo can enter the elevator and no one else. Seeing this, Momo asks Tong to step out of the elevator as she had arrived there first, but Tong does not comply. Frustrated, Momo walks away pretending to buy something. Tong operates the elevator, and as she is alone inside it, she starts clicking pictures in different poses. Unfortunately, she tears her dress in the process. Moments later, Tong steps out of the elevator and tries to hide her face and walk away. But when she notices the decoration on the floor, she gets mesmerized and starts looking around. At the same time, after seeing a girl wearing the same dress as Momo, she assumes that she has arrived and releases an arrow to shower rose petals on her. Sadly, Tong is allergic to flowers, and as a result, she starts sneezing voraciously. Soon, Chu comes to Tang flying and accidentally tears her dress. At this moment, he learns that she is not Tong. Enraged, Momo grabs Chu and sends him flying into the same arrow he shot before, injuring him badly. In the next scene, Chu is at the hospital sleeping on a bed. His best friend, Xiao Junjun, comes to visit him and suggests he asks his mother for money to pay for the hospital bills. After making some fun of Chu, Xiao walks away. Later, Tong approaches Chu and demands money for her damaged dress and her treatment. Surprisingly, her face is swollen so badly due to the allergy that she looks like a cartoon. Despite this, Chu refuses to give her any money, and during the quarrel, his wallet falls from the window and into a trash bin. Panicked, Chu immediately rushes from his room to retrieve his wallet, but runs into Momo on the way. While the two are talking, Tong intervenes and again asks for the money. This time, Momo compensates her, despite Chu's orders. Tong is satisfied and leaves the hospital. Meanwhile, Momo reveals that she came there to break up with him. She mentions that Chu is too immature to be her boyfriend and walks away after wishing him a good future. Sadly, before Chu can snap out of his misery, a nurse approaches him and tells him to pay the hospital bill. With this, he suddenly remembers his wallet and rushes out to look for it, but to no success. Elsewhere, Tong has already sent the money to her grandmother for her emergency eye surgery. Moments later, she gets a call from her editor, who urges her to start writing new stories. In the following scene, Chu can be seen wandering on the road in very bad condition, as the hospital sent him away after not being able to pay his bills. He desperately tries to look for his BFF, but can't spot him anywhere. He also cannot call any of his friends, as the password to his phone was inside his wallet. Having no other options, Chu spends a week on the streets. One morning, Chu notices Tang on the other side of the road. He tries to run towards her, but before he can reach her, he collides with a couple of moving cars. Eventually, he approaches Tong and asks for help. At first, Tong doesn't recognize him, but when she does, she takes him to her apartment and provides him with some food. After seeing the food, Chu happily eats it within seconds. During this time, Tong asks Chu why he didn't return to his home. Following this, the scene shifts back in time to where Chu returns to his house after his time at the hospital. He tries to remember the password to the entrance door, but he fails to do so. Turns out that he has a number-related dementia, a rare disorder where one cannot remember more than 3 digits. As a result, he gets kicked out by the security guards. Chu asks Tong to let him stay in her apartment, and she reluctantly agrees. And with time passing by, the two become close and eventually develop a strong friendship. One day, when the two are returning home from the market, Tong comes across a garment shop where she likes a dress very much. However, when she looks at the price, she gets sad and walks away. Seeing this, Chu gets confused as she bought an expensive dress earlier and demanded a huge amount when he damaged it. So, to clear the confusion, he checks Tong's cupboard and tries to find the same dress which was similar to Momo. Surprisingly, when he sees the price tag of $60 on the dress, he gets enraged and demands his money back. Hearing this, Tong reveals that she was in real need of money at the time, and she let Chu stay with her so that she could return the favor. Sadly, Chu has none of her excuses and locks her outside for the whole night. The next day after he opens the door, Tong barges in and receives a call from her senior editor, who informs her that she has been selected for a prestigious writer's summit. Tong desperately wants to attend the summit, but Chu stops her, saying that he needs to go shopping. With no other choice left, Tong hands him her emergency credit card, and Chu finally lets her go. While Tong is at the summit, Chu goes out shopping and continuously calls Tong to ask her about the password for her credit card. However, Tong doesn't hear him due to the loud noise at the summit. Unfortunately, as she is busy shouting over the call, she misses an opportunity to meet the most renowned editor of the town, Editor Ma. In the next scene, an enraged Tong barges inside the house, but when she is about to scold Chu, she notices that he bought her favorite dress and also a premium sofa. At first, she is really excited, but when she finds out that Chu used her credit card, she becomes pissed off and starts beating him. The following day, the landlady arrives outside Tong's apartment to ask for rent. Tong tells her that she doesn't have the money at the moment, and hearing this, the landlady provides her with a week's notice. With very little money left, Chu makes a cunning plan to earn money in a short time. He disguises himself as a valet and takes expensive cars to VIP parking spots around the city. When the VIP people ask for him to remove the car, he demands a lot of money. By repeating this trick again and again, the pair earn a lot of money. Unfortunately, the money doesn't last long, as they become drunk inside a club and waste all their loot. After the club debacle, when the two return to their apartment, they are shocked to find their place being rented by another person. With this, they are forced to pack their stuff and walk out of the house. While carrying some belongings, Chu finds a new passbook containing a lot of money and asks her about it. Tong replies that the money is used for only extreme emergencies and should not be used now. Following this, she brings Tong to his apartment and shows her that it is locked. Frustrated with everything, Tong grabs a hammer and breaks the door lock. As soon as the lock breaks, Chu immediately rushes inside to find Xiao. Meanwhile, Xiao notices Tong and is immediately smitten with her. He asks Chu if she is his girlfriend, and when the latter denies it, he decides to try his luck with her. Next, Xiao finds Tong and somehow manages to get her old apartment back. He also takes Tong for a ride and enters a theater to enjoy a play. Chu, on the other hand, can be seen following Xiao and Tong. He seems to be envious of their new relationship. So much so, he arrives at the theater and sits behind them. After the play is over, when Chu finds Tong alone, he carries her and puts her in a rickshaw. He then tries to express his feelings for Tong, but just then, a car hits the rickshaw. After a while, the driver comes out to chat, and here it is revealed that the man is none other than Tong's ex-boyfriend, Jiang. Later, Tong gets a call from Jiang's wife, Fong Chi-chi, who invites her for dinner in an attempt to humiliate her. After the call, Tong reveals to Chu that Jiang is in fact her first boyfriend. She was very close with him and also helped him financially during college. But one day, Jiang betrayed her for a rich girl Fong. The next day, Tong goes to attend a dinner with Chu and Xiao following. After they reach the place and meet the rich couple, Chu and Xiao both try to introduce themselves as Tong's boyfriend. However, Tong clears up that the two are simply her friends. During dinner, Fong tries to make fun of Tong, but the latter counters every statement brilliantly. Enraged, Fong orders her waiter to hurl a dish at Tong's face, but Chu cleverly throws it back, causing Fong to be drenched in the dish. Later, Tong returns the passbook to Jiang, mentioning that she doesn't need it. Here we learn that the passbook that Chu found earlier was given to Tong by Jiang before breaking up with her. Because of this, Chu gets emotional and develops more respect and love for Tong. They spend a lot more time together and start falling for each other. In the next scene, Tong is unexpectedly called by Editor Ma after one of her stories becomes popular. As a result, she is offered a high-paying job at the company. She is also given the opportunity to publish her stories and travel around the globe to write a travel blog. This delights Tong, and she immediately meets with Chu and tells him about the opportunity. Though Chu wants to visit the world with Tong, he cannot do so as the deadline of his app development is nearing, and he needs to be there to publicize and monitor it. At the same time, Tong gets a call from her mother, informing her that her grandmother will go blind after a year. As soon as she hears this, she decides to take her grandmother with her to visit the world. Chu also mentions that he will join her on the tour, but Tong tells him to focus on his startup. After a few days, Chu buys a diamond ring for Tong and tries to contact her. When Tong does not receive his call, Chu goes straight to her apartment and finds a letter on her table. In the letter, Tong mentions that she does not want Chu to ruin his career for her, and also states that they will meet each other after a year and will be together afterward. The scene then fast-forwards a year, where Chu Hao is in his office and in charge of a flourishing business. He makes the decision to travel to Verona after recalling a Romeo and Juliet-based play written by Tong. After his conference at Verona, Chu notices Tong's handwriting on a board and discovers that she is somewhere near. After a bit of searching and some help from the crowd, he eventually finds her and asks if she still remembers him. Tong, who is with her grandma, reassures them that she hasn't forgotten him, instead thinking about him all the time. With this, she approaches Chu, and the two kiss on the balcony of Juliet's house, ending the movie.